back with another episode within our series on the Gita. And this one is so much fun to think about, talk about, reflect on, but it's also extremely succinct and concise. It's one of the biggest touchstones within philosophy. And the Gita talks about this in such a beautiful, elegant way. So does Swami Parthasarathi, my teacher. And the theme today within the Gita is on the interplay between fate and free will. So many philosophical debates over the years have been fate versus free will, predetermination versus free choice. And the Gita and Vedanta actually says that our universe consists of both fate and free will. I say it's succinct because you could spend, and people spend, barrels of ink talking about fate or free will or which one dictates the events in our lives. But Swami Parthasarathi says it so beautifully that we are a product of our past, but we are producers of our future. We are a product of our past, but producers of our future. In other words, the decisions we've made have created the scenario that you are in this very moment. And that scenario, that circumstance was inescapable. The culmination of your decisions up until this point has created this karmic scenario that you are in that you cannot get out of. You're in it. Arjuna's in the midst of a battle that he could have stopped 13 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 3 weeks prior. But now the battle is happening. It's on. He is right at the crossroads of an inescapable past and a completely open-ended future. But that second part, that latter part of you are the producer of your future, which comes down to the decisions we make in this moment, which is a function of the desires we have in this moment, which is a function of the thoughts that we have in this moment. Change your thoughts, change your desires, change your decisions. That is the responsibility for all of us. To reduce our desires through reflection and thoughts, knowledge on the self, directing our thoughts to a higher ideal. It doesn't need to be highfalutin in some crazy absolute terms. It really could just be, okay, I'm feeling stressed because we need to get our kids ready for school. We're running late and they aren't cooperating. That is a feeling I know so well. I felt it this morning. And yet in the midst of that scenario that was inescapable, it is still a choice between a selfish ideal of I need to make this, and this happen so that I can get to enjoy this fruit, this benefit, this convenience of not being a few minutes late to my own meeting. Or I can say, okay, there's a chance that I'm going to be late. There's a chance that there is going to be egg on my face as I try to be some really hyper-responsible individual in my community, and I'm going to be running late for that. I still have a higher ideal that I can choose, where I choose to not emotionally charge my children about being late or they need to hurry up or raising my voice. Choosing not to emotionally charge them because I might feel an emotional charge myself. I'm going to treat them how I would want to be treated, golden rule style, that my 6-year-old loves. She loves talking about the golden rule. and treat them how I would want to be treated. Knowing that, yeah, I'm going to take an L for being 10, 15 minutes late to a meeting. That's not a good look. But instead of getting frustrated, emotional, and striking out on those around me, instead of that, I can internalize and say, all right, I made the mistake here, cutting a little too close to my calendar this morning. And that's on me. That's something to improve and go through the pain of being seen as irresponsible by being late. It's a seemingly tiny example, but it is not all predetermined, and our current scenarios are inescapable, determined by our previous actions, our previous decisions and desires. But how do you sum that up? How do you sum up this concept within the Gita or within Vedanta? I've never heard it articulated better than Swami Parthasarathi when he said, "You are a product of your past and a producer of your future." We'll see you next time on the Daily Vedantic. Thanks for listening to the Daily Vedantic. This reflection is part of a free repeating 2-year course in Advaita Vedanta. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Upanishads, arguably the oldest philosophical texts on earth, you can begin with episode 1, which gives the 15-minute overview of the whole philosophy of Vedanta, or you can join the journey with any episode at any point. But the critical aspect of this course, of understanding and mastering anything, is to study and reflect, even for 10 to 15 minutes on the timeless each day, preferably at the start of your day. As is said in this philosophy, reflection is 100,000 times as powerful as listening. So listen, journal, sit with, discuss these concepts, or ask questions at thedailyvedantic.com with our AI-powered chatbot, informed by about 700 episodes here, as regularly as one can, if you want to see clarity and peace almost effortlessly unfold in your daily life. And if it doesn't result in a near immediate increase in clarity and peace, then toss aside and feel free to never listen again. One of the things that you might notice is after 7 or 8 days in a row, this doesn't feel like a discipline. This feels like a visit with a best friend to dive into the timeless with daily reflection. Within a few days, it becomes one of your favorite parts of the day. You can also find out more, including news about in-person events in Los Angeles and beyond, at the Daily Vedantic on Instagram or through our weekly newsletter at thedailyvedantic.com. Additionally, check out the links in our show notes for more resources like the books that are mentioned most frequently in the episodes, including Vedanta Treatise, perhaps the simplest and most straightforward read on this philosophy I've ever come across. Until next time, and from the entire team that works on the Daily Vedantic project, thanks for listening.